So I have an issue. That grub screw right there on the wheel nut is stripped. I can't seem to get it out. So I'm gonna try WD-40ing and prying it off of that because I bought a new nut. But if you have any ideas on how to take out a stripped nut that small, I'd love to hear it. The diff seemed fine. I just opened up. The gasket is a little torn from one side. It's so if I just anyway, I don't want to touch it. It's gunky, but it's basically torn from right there. Yeah, right there. Oh, it's so sticky. God, I hate this stuff. And then all of the other stuff seems fine. I'm just gonna wash that out. And the other issue I had was this pin that holds the drive shaft to the drive hub is broken off for one of them. So one of my wheels was not working today, the front right or the front left, and I was wondering what happened. It was just spinning freely. It was because that piece had completely broken off of the grub screw. So anyway, I got a new set. Anyway, all this cleaning up to do, and then I will build up my front diff with the aluminum one, and I will change out the cracked I think it was this one. No, not this one. I think it was this. This has even gotten worse. I have a sneaking suspicion that this crack was rubbing up against no. Yeah, no, I'm just being very picky. But anyway, I got another one, so I can just change this broken diff housing for the front one. Rebuilding the front diff. This is the previous one, all cleaned out. Just wanted to see if I can get a good shot of it so that we can compare it with the new one. This is in aluminum. This is the original plastic one that Traxxas sells. I think the Traxxas part is 5381. And this doesn't come with, actually I shouldn't say doesn't come with much. It comes with the rubber gasket and 4 screws. Not sure if I should use the screws that come with it or if I should use the original Traxxas ones. They're fairly sturdy, very strong. But anyway, back to this. Seems like this is feels as strong as this one. So I'm not sure if there's any testament to its durability. But I will be packing now the front diff with basically locking it. I want to see how it handles when the front diff is locked and not the rear one. So there'll be a lot more stress than what has been historically on the front diff. So let's see how this one performs. I will put a link in the description below from where you can get this one. I think it's called GPM parts. And this is how it came. I got 2. This is for the rear one. I'll be definitely replacing out the rear one also. So, yep, that's it. Thanks. So one difference I noted between the two are that when you buy the gear set, if your gears are all stripped and you go to Traxxas and buy another one, it comes with like a small upgrade. It's called, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but I-bar, called with different names. Let's see. Yeah, it just calls carrier support maybe? I'm not sure. So anyway, it's the small bar that you can put in the rear, in the diff carrier. Now, not sure, since this one has these curved surfaces, if it would actually fit in this one. And no, it doesn't. So that's one difference if folks are oh, hold on. That actually did work in there, but it's got gaps on the side. So I don't know if it'll provide the same kind of support as this one does. Not sure exactly what purpose it serves. I have a feeling it's to reinforce the walls or prevent it from flexing. Not 100, I'm just making stuff up. So if you guys have an idea on what this high bar serves, please do let me know. But it does seem like it'll fit. Okay, so yeah, just a small difference. Doesn't go all the way to the edge like it does on the original. So if you look at here, you can see it almost like sits flush with the diff carrier. And in this one, it's fairly loose. You can hear it actually wiggling around. Yep, so that's it. Two more differences I noted in the aftermarket one and the original one is the lip on this is taller. Not sure if I can grab it on, yeah, you won't be able to see. But anyway, take my word for it, the lip on this is taller. So I think this would aid in getting a good seal when you put on the rubber seal. When you put that on and then you put the gear on top, it creates a better seal since it's seated better, less area for the rubber seal to squeeze out. This has a less of a lip. All this is conjecture, obviously. I haven't really tried it, but just by looking at the differences between the two. The other difference is that the nubs, aluminum nubs, that fit into here, which is basically supposed to align both of these things together to provide a good mate together. They're not as tall. So these nubs are not as tall as they are on the original one. But the original ones are plastic nubs, and these are aluminum nubs. So not sure if that has a bearing on how much forces this thing can handle. But also there's a little play. I'm not sure if I can catch it on the camera, the sound. So when you put it, but at the same time, the original one also has that little play. Yeah. So even though they're mated completely together, hopefully that all is mitigated by the rubber seal being there and squished between the two surfaces. So that's it. I'm actually, after a little bit of thought, I'm going to put in 1 million weight fluid instead of locking it together, the front, because obviously you do need a little, well, I say obviously, but it is better when you're doing tight turns to have some diff action going on, because the outer wheel is taking a longer path. If it has a lot of traction, it's going to bind, the turn's going to stutter if it's not moving a little freely. And if I've locked them together, that stutter is going to be quite pronounced. I've seen that on my Jeep when I lock diffs and I try doing turns. It's almost impossible. Well, it's extremely difficult, and it's pretty bad for the transmission also. So yeah, 1 million weight fluid. I'm going to start on that. Step one of this is to get the washer back on into one of the output shafts. The output shafts is going to go in this. So you put that in. And then you put one of the rubber seals on. And then you seat it back in there. Okay. And then you create a small bow tie. Oof. So oily. Struggling. Okay. There. And then the bow tie goes in here. These are the two indents. Oop, missed that one. So you see how there's a gap and that one's filled in perfectly. I need to, I'll just be back. Okay, so I'm just going to get this guy out and see if I can wiggle. There, perfect. So that's there, and then you fill it with this 1 million weight fluid. I don't know how I'm going to do that while holding this. Let's find a cool solution. The previous gasket diff carrier, you can just put it on top. That kind of makes it a nice stand. And I'll use that to then fill the fluid in from this, which is kind of thick and goopy, so I gotta figure out a way of, let me move that out to the side. I gotta figure out a way of getting this thick, goopy liquid. Yeah, it's quite thick and goopy in there. I don't think it even pours. Yeah. Yeah, that's like much thicker than honey. It's not even pouring, so I'll need to figure out how I'm gonna scoop that out and fill that in there. Okay, be back. Found a popsicle stick. I'm going to see if I can just goop that up, pick that up and put it in there. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in after I have filled that with a little bit of the diff fluid. So let's get this going. It's gonna fall over, it's gonna tip over. I need something more stable than that, but let's see. Oh geez, yeah, this is hard. You can see how hard this is. How do people do this? Okay, hold on. It's like taffy. Okay. Okay, let's fill that in. Make sure you don't get it around the edges because you got to put this guy, rubber gasket, back on. And if you've got goop, I've done that mistake before. If you've got goop around the area where the gasket is supposed to sit, it makes it impossible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try just leaving it here. Oh, see, that's exactly what I didn't want it to do. Let's get it back in. Have a toothpick ready. Toothpick is amazing for fine work when it comes to this kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, a little bit of wasted diff fluid on my mat, but that's fine. I'll leave it here and let's put that back in. And let's see now if I can put these guys back in. Okay, here goes nothing. Ugh. There. Okay, I can see it slowly sinking in. Push that down. Needs to go all the way down. And it is. Perfect. Then if I can see if I can maybe goop a little up more and fill the top. Don't fill it too much. Actually, you know what? I think this is good enough. Just, I'll say it's good enough, and then I just add a little bit more. Because it is going to churn around in there. Oof. Yeah, I think that's too much. Let's just get a little bit down there. Seems like I've just passed on one problem to the other. Actually, this is a better applicator though. Hopefully, I can get it in between the gears and it sticks to the gears rather than my toothpick. Okay, not bad. Good. Okay, so I'll leave that in for a bit, let it settle in, and then I'll come back and put the gasket on. Put this guy on, and then yeah, tighten it up with this guy on. And I've decided I'm going to use the screws that it came with rather than the original ones, only because I want to see how tough everything that came with it is, including the gasket, screws, and this thing itself. And let's see how, after everything is assembled, how long does this thing last against 3S lipos in like all sorts of terrible conditions. Seems like it's settled in. Yeah. So I am then going to get the other output shaft, put this guy on inside it, on it. Okay, and then we'll put that on top of this. See how the teeth are connecting? Make sure that the teeth do connect. Like so, centered. And once it's centered, let's put the gasket around it so you will see that these two squares line up between the two these guys, between these two nubs that go into the this gear. Okay, you don't need me to you know what I mean. You don't want to see all of, well, I might have recorded it, might as well see it. Okay, here, yeah, see, this is what I meant in the other one. When I pressed down with the rubber gasket, you could see it settle in because the lip was higher. In this one, it's not settling in as well. Plus the quality of the actual rubber is not the same, or it doesn't feel like it's the same as the original one that comes in the Traxxas part. So again, like I said, I want to give this a thorough review. So let's see how this performs. Yeah, the seal doesn't feel right. Okay, but that's done. And then just make sure that the nubs line up with these 4 nubs inside, or spaces inside this guy. There. When you press down and move it around, it should lock. If it's not locked in, you're doing something wrong. So make sure you do that. And then I'll just be back with my, oh, is this the right one? Well, that'll be lucky if it is the right one. Oh, let me put this down. Don't tip over. Oh, it is the right one. Okay. Okay, and then go in a star pattern. Just want to make sure it's locked in. It is locked in. And then the star pattern that you use to make sure that the rubber compresses evenly across the face. Tighten, then go across, tighten, then come down, tighten, come down, go this way, tighten, go down, tighten, go this way. See how I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm getting any of this in the camera, just talking away. Okay, and here, tighten. You know what? I haven't done any thread lock. Should we do thread lock since this is metal on metal? I'm gonna do thread lock. This is ridiculous. I should have done that. Cause yeah, it is going into aluminum and that's metal. It needs thread lock. I'll be back. Okay, let's apply a little thread lock. Little is never possible. There, too much. And gobs of it is falling down, but whatever. That always happens. Okay. Before I tighten it, I just want to make sure it's solidly in. Yeah, those nubs, if they're not seated properly, create all sorts of havoc. So let's get that guy in. And then there. That's a nice one. Should I put more? Never hurts. Well, I shouldn't say never hurts. There are certain applications where anything dripping or gooping around might be not a good thing. Should be good. Okay, so then star pattern again. Okay, get that off. Just gonna do one last check. That's a good seal. Hold it. That's one. And then across, and then bottom, 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 then across, bottom. I think this is as much as I gotta go. Okay, that's good enough. Very tight. Front diff done with 1 million weight fluid. I think it was 1. Yeah, 1 mil weight fluid. All right. So you should have 4 bearings when you disassemble the diff housing. So 2 of the bearings go on either side of the diff carrier, your actual differential, and then 2 of them, these ones, go one on this side and the other on that side. So before I do, since these bearings are like, I don't trust them as much, I don't know if there's a lot of slide in them, I'm gonna heavily grease all of this with this high performance synthetic grease, just so as they move around, I'm hoping some of it sinks in. I may be making this stuff. I'm not an expert, guys. So if this is not how you're supposed to do it, please do let me know. I am just going with my instinct, my gut. That's telling me, since these are old, I grease this as much as possible. And since this is hopefully not going to be that exposed to the elements, since there's a whole bunch of stuff that is going to be around, in and around this, it's not going to get as dirty as the exposed elements would. Anyway, you don't you don't need to see me grease all of this. God, I have trouble saying that part. So I will pause the video here and I will come back once these parts are all greased up. So that's that piece, and then I'm going to do the same thing here on this part and this part. Be right back. Actually, I just noticed that this was getting some rust too on top, so I'm going to apply this liberally on top of this area also, because I want to prevent any rust from forming there. So I'll apply that here. Anyway, be right back. So yeah, just doing this, and then I'll apply it around here so that thing slides on easily, and then the same thing over there. As I was doing it, I noticed that there's quite a bit of damage on this output shaft. Quite a bit of damage. So hopefully it doesn't fall apart on me soon. But I do have an extra, but taking this apart, doing this all over again is quite a bit of an effort, so I'm hoping this lasts a bit. Let's see, fingers crossed. Okay, so once the grease is applied, I'm going to apply grease to, I should apply grease to the gears too. And then these go only on one way. So I already know that this one fits on, oof, it's become slippery, on this side. So like so, and then I'll do the other side also. And I should grease this guy also, so I'll put that down. And then squeeze a little bit out. Apply it on one side. Okay. Slide that on there. Okay, and then I'll apply grease on this side and this side. That bearing needs to be completely covered in grease. Since I washed these, oh, by the way, I didn't probably tell you guys, used a brush and I washed these in kerosene. So that probably washed away a whole bunch of grease that's inside there. Both sides are greased properly. And then let's put that aside and then do the same thing with these two guys. This one will go in here. Push that in. Need to get them in. Ooh, quite a tight fit. There. That's fit in. Do the same thing on this guy. Okay. Both are in. I'm going to apply grease from the outside also. Be right back. Okay, so it's applied it from there, applied it from there. Time to assemble this guy. This only goes on one way. Let's see if it fits in this way. This doesn't look right. No, see there's a gap there. So let's flip it around. There, this fits in properly, but there's still a gap there. Maybe I'm not doing this right. Doesn't feel right either way, huh? Well, this side fits in properly when I do that. Not sure why this side is not fitting in properly. Maybe I'm pressing. Oh, there we go. No, it seems like this side has a gap. Oh, there. Now it's in. Now it's in. Now it's in. And that's how it's supposed to be. Perfect. So made a mistake before putting that in, but not a big one, thankfully. This thing comes off. Forgot to put in this gear. Let's put that in. That's actually, so this connects to the center diff, and this is what drives the differential. So let's slide that in. There's enough grease to coat this side also, so that should be good. There we go. And then we can fit that back in. There we go. Good. And you can see that's the action. And then I gotta apply grease to the gears. So let me do that. Thought I'd, I don't know if you guys would want to watch me apply the grease, but just how I do it. Make sure that the in between the teeth are covered. You don't want any metal to metal touch without any grease being in there. So that's usually what I do, is take a little bit of grease, work it between the teeth. You don't need to do it too much, because at some point it is going to start getting transferred to this gear, and then from there spread to the other gears. So just do a few and then spin it around and rinse and repeat till you're satisfied. You can be as meticulous or not as meticulous. I mean, the amount of grease that Traxxas packs in, which is abysmal, which is almost non-existent. Whatever you do probably is better up from what you get from the factory from Traxxas. So yeah, each to each his own here. But you can see I'm fairly meticulous, and I do like these things fairly well lubricated. So so you're waiting to hear for that sound. Usually what that means, it's sticking that grease between the gears, and as it unsticks, it makes that sound of unsticking. So I'm satisfied now, and here's the sound again. Okay. So once the greasing is done, it's time to assemble everything back together. I have a system using sticky notes and a marker. As I am disassembling, I usually put numbers and what screws go where. And then when I'm reassembling, I just work my way backwards, and it usually is fairly easy. So number 8, number 7, as you can see, they're all numbered. Yeah, so I'm gonna start off with this guy. It's usually the shock tower screws. Supposed to be 4 screws. The other one's stuck right at the end. Get that out. Keep this for later. Whenever you disassemble next, do it then. Put this guy. So the flat side goes on the bottom with the other flat side. Like so. Click it in place, and then this, which way? I think it goes in this way. I'll have to check. Be right back. So I was doing it the right way. So the shaft goes away from the side that has the springs. So just slide that in, fits it, and then these 4 screws go. And I had labeled 2 short on top, so these 2 will go on top, and these 2 long ones will go on the bottom. Oop, you have to be very careful. Make sure it doesn't disassemble, and if it does, just hold it tightly and then make sure everything is lined up properly. And then, oops. Oh, it slid out, did it? How did it slide out? I didn't put it in properly. Okay, so I'm going to screw this on. It's not, this requires some level of, I don't know, finger magic. Short one goes on top. I label them. I don't know if I showed this before. I'm doing this a little later. Shock tower, 2 short on top, 2 long on bottom. So I will put the short one first on top. Basically, as you're doing this, if I flip this around, see, it's going in there, right here. Ugh, there, yeah. Hope you guys can see it anyway. Let's quickly screw that one on. Okay, then I'm gonna put the long one at the bottom. I never know how much to torque the screws, but the bottom one's very tight, and the top one at least should be flush with that part. So just a little more, I think, on my part, and we'll get there. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah. After all the screws are done in properly, put in the bottom piece. As you can see, there's a lot of gunk and dirt in the bottom piece. I'm just going to clean this out before I slide it back on here. So once I've cleaned and greased it, I opened up my packet for the diff housing, 2 bottom screws. Those guys are right there, and that goes right here. So you line that up properly. Line that up properly and then put them on here. Oh, is that not lining up properly? No, it's not. It has to be perfectly lined up. Come on. Do the other one. Oops. Slight camera difficulties. Everything difficulties. There. Okay. Both are in. It's require a fair amount of torque to get in. You don't need to see me screw in. So after doing a whole bunch of screwing in, screwing out, my usual limit is just make sure that your screws are in just below the surface. So not too much, just underneath the surface should be a good gauge for how tight you want them to be. Yeah, that's a good one. So I found myself in a bind recently because I was out in the rain, as you guys saw, and one of the wheels, front wheels, stopped working and completely stopped spinning, and I was like, what's going on? So I looked at it, and this piece, which is supposed to look like this piece, this is the pin that holds the axle or the drive shaft with the output gear of the differential, front differential, and it had snapped off. And the front differential was moving, but obviously there was no power being transmitted because there was no pin to go through this piece to hold it to the output shaft of the differential. So I was like, I want this part, and this part is not available. Mostly it's part of a larger set, which is about, this guy, which is very expensive. It's about $109. There's no way I was gonna spend that much just to get that small part. And MIP sells it separately, but most places don't have that in stock. What they do have though is an axial set, and I can pull this up as a part number maybe, and oh yeah, it's right there. And you can look this up. This fits exactly. It has the same specifications. So came with a bunch, 1, 2, 3. So it came with 6. I've taken out 2 right here. Actually, let me just put them right here. And I'm just going to replace these 2 old ones. One's completely broken. One, I'm just going to keep it as spare and put in 2 brand new ones. And it fits in perfectly fine. Let me just screw this one in. Actually, I haven't screw tested it, but it's, there we go. Same thread, pitch, and perfect fit. Oh, I'm showing this, you can't even see. Yeah, there you go. So I'm gonna use this and put them on right now. Thanks. So just putting some thread lock on that grub screw with that pin lock, and I'll lock the MIP axle onto the output shaft of the differential. Okay. I'm not sure if I can get that in the camera. It's not getting in. Am I even going it through the right ways? maybe no, it is the right one. Huh, why is it not going in? Okay, try again. Oh, it's the angle, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna go in from the other side. Yeah, this might be better. This will be better. Okay, put some thread lock on the grub screw with the pin lock, attaching the axle to one of the output shafts. And that one's in. Make sure I get a good, you don't need to over tighten. You might strip the grub screw head, and that's a pain to get out. I've already done that, so lesson learned. Don't overstrip. It's the don't over tighten. It's the Loctite that will hold it in place. Let's do the same thing for the other side. Attach that, move that so that I can align the grub hole with the actual pinhole on the output shaft from the front diff. Huh, it's not. Ugh. Why is it so hard? Let's try one more time. If not, I'll pause the video and come back. Oh geez, yeah, this is ridiculously hard. See if I can move it while twisting. Nope, that's not working, so I gotta see why it's not. When it's stuck on hard. Yeah, I'll have to see. Be right back. Took a lot of strength to get it in. That's what I get for being cheap. Guys, whenever you build your diff, inspect your output gear shafts. They might have taken some damage, and if they have, and you don't change them out with a newer set, which costs 21 Canadian dollars, like these guys, you have to struggle with the older guys. So just make sure you inspect them before you put them back on. I'm just going to apply some thread lock that in place. Okay, so drive shafts are done. Now let's get the A-arm pins, aluminum plate, and the aluminum plate screw, which is this guy, all back on. Let's clean that out. From what I remember, this goes on here, is it? No, I'm missing something. Let me just check and be back. Yeah, I forgot to put in the A-arms, so the A-arms will go here. So that's one of the A-arms, and then I need to put in the other A-arm, and then I'll slide the aluminum plate, and then I'll attach the screw. So these need to go in first. Oops, let me put that back in. There we go, that's in. Let's see. There we go, that's in. Plate goes like this. Oh. There. Come on. Yeah, the problem is if you get one in and not the other at the same time and one goes in, they both have a tough time going in. Okay. And then this can go in perfectly. I just need to attach the screw. And that's that. On to the next step. Apologies for the noise. Okay. Attaching the front bumper, 2 screws on top and these 3 on the bottom. So just like that and that. Let's screw that in. So this tells me which direction I went to. So I'm going to put the 3 on first on the bottom and then the 2 on top, because I took off the 2 on top first and then I went. So I'm just going to reverse the assembly instructions.